Welcome to Body for Christ, the fitness channel that's dedicated to the glory of God and helping you to forge a physical body that is fearfully and wonderfully made. And today I want to show you an arm workout that is going to be focusing on your forearms, because you cannot neglect your forearms. You have to make sure that you are focusing on strengthening and developing the forearm muscles, because there's a lot of muscles between your wrist and your elbow that is responsible for all of the movement of the elbow, all of the movement of the wrist, your fingers. And you think about the extraordinary machine that God has created, and you just look at this, all of the movement there. It is forearm muscles that's responsible for all of that. Now, when it comes to the arms, you think of like the shoulders and your deltoid muscles, and there are three major muscle groups when it comes to the deltoids. You got your front, your mid, and your rear, your posterior deltoids, and those are huge. And then you got your biceps, and everybody loves the biceps, but bi meaning two, there are two muscle groups, the long and short heads, that are responsible for the bicep muscle. Then the tricep, which is going to be responsible for 2/3 of the overall size of your arm. Tri meaning three. You can't neglect any of these. Obviously your shoulders, your biceps, your triceps, all of them are so important. But then you think about your forearms, there are 20 muscle groups that make up your forearms. You have your posterior, the backside of your arm, between the wrist and the elbow. 12 muscle groups are on the posterior of the forearm, and then the anterior, the inside of the forearm, there's another 8 muscle groups. So, yeah, 3, 2, 3, how about 20? 20 muscle groups between the wrist and the elbow. So you cannot neglect your forearms, and especially for those out there that have any kind of wrist pain or elbow pain. Chances are, if you have wrist or elbow pain, it's because your forearms are not developed enough. They're not actually strengthened. And I am speaking from personal experience on this, that years and years ago, I used to suffer from pretty bad tennis elbow. And I went to a physical therapist, and the physical therapist was like, well, what you need to do is you just need to lay off all of the arm workout. So stop exercising your arms entirely in order to give your elbow time to recover. Well, turns out a lot of these doctors and physicians and physical therapists, make sure you get a second or even a third opinion, because that advice that I was given by that particular physical therapist years ago was terrible advice. And I took that advice for a couple of months, and the only thing that happened is that the pain in the elbow got worse as my arms weakened, as the muscles atrophied. Of course that's what's going to happen. If you have pain in your wrists and pain in your elbows, chances are it's because your biceps, triceps, and shoulders are stronger than your forearm muscles, that there's this difference between the strength of your upper arm and the weakness of your lower arm. Focus on strengthening the lower arm, the forearms, and you're going to watch that pain in the wrist and the elbows just melt away. And that's what I did. I went and I got a second opinion, and that second opinion was, well, chances are it's because your forearms are too weak. Start strengthening your forearms and see what happens. I did. No more elbow pain. And I'm 41, almost 42 years old, and I have 0 elbow pain and wrist pain. Pretty extraordinary. It's the same thing with you. So make sure that you're focusing on your forearms. So, a couple of things for you. I love these grippers. These are things that you can find on Amazon. Absolutely amazing. Now, the set that I have are specifically for men, because the lowest weight is 150 pounds in order to take the gripper and really close that. You close that, it requires 150 pounds of force. And every time I do it, you'll notice how the forearm is just going in and out. Just the muscles are tightening and then loosening, tightening and loosening. Same thing on the inside, the anterior. When it comes to these grippers, absolutely incredible about hitting all 20 of the forearm muscles all at once. Now, for you ladies out there, you're going to have to make sure you find a different set of grippers, because they're going to have grippers that go down to 25 pounds starting weight, and then 50 and 75 pounds. But for the guys, start at 150. They go all the way up to, these are 200s. Same thing with 200s. 200 pounds now of force required in order to close the gripper, and just focuses on, oh, you do that, say 30, 40, or even 50 reps, your forearms are going to be burning like crazy. So those are the 200s. Goes up to 250 pounds, and at 250 is where it's getting to my limit. And I try to close that 250, and I can get the 250, and that's about as high as I can go. It goes up to 300, and then even to 350. And like, you have to be a beast in order to close these things, like absolutely massive. Like 300 is a huge amount of weight. 300 is nuts. And then even 350, it's like, are you kidding me? 350 pounds, you gotta be Goliath in order to close this thing. It's just, gosh, there's no way. Like, whew. I've been training for years, and I can't even get close to the 350s. But for the 150s, 200s, and 250s, these are solid weights. Make sure that you're doing this regularly when it comes to your arm training. And your arms, like, I always go back to what I was saying about the wrist and the elbow pain. I cannot stress enough, because I've been there. Elbow pain is horrendous. It's awful. It's just, it's the worst. Strengthen your forearms and get rid of that elbow pain, and the gripper is an amazing way to do that. Also, with the dumbbell, here's another exercise you can do with just your standard dumbbells that are going to be amazing for your forearms. Instead of a regular, say, curl that's going to be focusing on the biceps, or a hammer curl that's primarily the biceps and then a little bit of the forearms, try what's called a Zercher curl, whereas you come up into a curl for your biceps, and then here, turn the weight, and then come back down in this. So it's up, and then turn, and back down. Up, turn, and back down. It's called a Zercher curl. Fantastic for the forearms. Another thing that you can do for the forearms, instead of gripping the dumbbell like this with your thumb over it, put the thumb on this side. So you're only going to be holding the dumbbell with 4 fingers. And by holding the dumbbell with 4 fingers, just bring it up and hold, and then back down. Bring it up, hold, and back down. Up and back down. My goodness. Do that 3 sets, 12 reps. Your forearms are going to be absolutely killing you. And then one last thing that I'd like to show you that really is just blasting the forearms is a particular product I came across years ago that I just love. You can find these on Amazon. They're called Fat Grips. This is the normal size. They make one size smaller than this, but then they also make one size bigger. The Extreme Series Fat Grips. These things are huge. They're absolutely crazy. And you're like, well, what are these for? Well, you take them, put them over the dumbbell, and what it'll do, instead of having a grip this size on the dumbbell, your grip is going to be this size. Or with the Extreme Series, your grip is going to be like this size. Let's give this a go. First with the normal size. Take it, open it up, put it over the dumbbell, take it, open it up, put it over the dumbbell, and now, all of a sudden my grip is a lot wider. Gripping a wider bar, basically, and doing that same thing. And with this, you're going to need to have your thumb on the outside. Up, hold, ooh, and back down. Up, hold, and back down. Up, hold, oh, and back down. Whew. And whether you're doing it in this direction or just doing a normal curl, you're going to find that your forearms are going to get blasted. Final one. We're done with the normal size of the Fat Grips. We're going to grab the Extreme Series. And I'll be sure to include a link in the video description below for these products. You can check them out for yourself and experience them for yourself. They work with any standard size dumbbell. Whew. Grab these bad boys. And just look at the width on that grip there. Normal curls, you're going to be feeling it in your forearms, but then you try to do it in this direction. Oh. You got to be gripping like crazy. Oh, in order just to hang on to the thing. Whew. And those are the primary exercises that I do in order to strengthen the forearms. I mean, there are other forearm exercises I can show you in a future video, but that right there is pretty much the bulk of it. I use the grippers for both the posterior and anterior of the forearms. I do 3 to 4 sets, about 50 reps each per arm. And then I use just a standard dumbbell with the fat grips. And overall, you're going to find your forearms getting bigger, stronger. You'll find that your grip is stronger. Pain in the wrists and elbows goes away. Overall, you're going to have a stronger physique and a happier life. So thank you for joining me. I'm Jake Hilton with Body for Christ. And until I see you all next time, you just be sure to be fearfully and wonderfully made.